believe this is episode 4, episode 5. I know I took a few days off. This is a little bit different of a setup. I kind of have you closer to me today. That's because I noticed in the other episode that the shaking and rattling was kind of getting to the phone or to the camera. So I'll mess with that later. I'll figure that out, make it where it's a little bit nicer experience for you guys. But welcome to the episode. I took a few days off. One, I don't do the weekends, right? Because we don't commute to work at least I don't commute to work on the weekends. So the weekends are automatically not work, no commute episode days. But like, my whole tire situation and my car situation. And then on top of my car situation, I'm moving. So there's a bunch of that going on. So basically, I was working from home, didn't commute a few days. So, I didn't drive anywhere for us to talk. But, all that aside, welcome to the episode. Welcome. Good morning. I don't have my show notes today. Today is kind of an impromptu episode. I just kind of want to chit chat. I'll just talk a little bit. Just kind of let you guys get to know me. If you don't know me by my YouTube name, it's Montana Williams. That is actually my name. It's my full name. So there you go. But yeah, so this is my channel. I've kind of posted workout stuff, and I will continue to post workout stuff, shorts, clips, whatever. But I'm starting this just because I enjoy talking. I enjoy thinking out loud. I enjoy conversations about pop culture, everything, this, that, and the other. And you've already listened to a few episodes. So if you are listening to a few episodes and actually enjoyed them and continue to tune back in, you will understand just kind of how the flow works. But like I said, today is different. Today's a different episode. We'll talk some politics. We'll talk some stuff like that. But I'm going to kind of be all over the place today. So I hope you're ready. Okay, so. Yeah, see, why is the truck rattling? Sorry, beside the point. Okay, here we go. So the biggest thing, first things first, is we always open up with Iran. Okay, we always open up with Iran because, like I said, I'm an American citizen. It is important to me in the sense of we don't really know where we're going with this. We're still in this ceasefire thing. We're still in this weird... We're not going to get involved. We are going to get involved. Excuse me. Sorry. So that's where we're at, right, with this. And yes, I'm drinking Ender drink. Not sponsored, but Monster. 0 sugar. Because I need the energy this morning. But anyway. We're in this weird talking point. Where Trump, our president, for those who do not know, which I'm sure everybody knows if you watch this. President Trump is basically saying it's their last chance. Right. Now, is that a negotiation tactic? I personally believe so. But you never know. You never know, because it could just genuinely be the point now where he's like, listen, you guys are playing these games back and forth. Obviously, they're not upholding what he's claiming that they're saying, which nobody knows the truth, right? Nobody's in those rooms. But he's stating that they've claimed, like, we're going to ceasefire, this, that, and the other. And then, normally they'll say something on their social media or their broadcast saying we never said anything of the sort. So you don't know who to believe as an American citizen. So you just kind of roll with the punches. But so no real movement, except for things are getting kind of, I guess you could say, they're bubbling over. Especially with some attacks in Jordan. Base in Jordan got hit. So we'll see. Which is the dumbest thing to say. I hate people that say we'll see. Like, yeah, duh, we'll see. We'll all see. But we will. We don't know. Nobody knows at this point. Everybody claims they know what's going on. Unless they're like a legitimate news source that has very, very in-depth resources and sources that can possibly still be wrong because we're all human. They probably have the best bet. But from what is publicly gathered and what from I can gather from my research, we don't really have any conclusive answer as of yet. So moving on from that one. The midterms are coming up. I believe we're close to 100 days out, if not 100 days out. So you could say midterm season is in full swing. The interesting part is that there's primary elections today. I know Michigan's one of them. West Virginia's one of them. I know there's about 3 or more. I can't remember show notes, which I don't want to interrupt the show, obviously, but there's about 3 more that are all in the primaries, which basically just means they're electing who's going to go run, right? Who is going to go represent the Democratic Party. That is what the primaries are for. Excuse me. So the thing that's happening right now is that the DSA, the Democratic Party, or you could call it the institutionalists versus the socialists, if you want to call it that way, it's getting frisky on that side of the world, on that side of the political realm, because they're starting to realize, like, they're going toe for toe, right? They're going at each other. And it's, again, we're not going to get deep into this. We've had a whole conversation before about the Socialist Party and this, that, and the other, and how I think that some of the stuff they want is beautiful. And in the idealistic world, I couldn't agree more, but I'm a realistic person, and there's just too many holes that you can poke into their game plan, not because of them and their ideas and their plans, but because of the fact that there are human beings, right? If nothing is going to work perfectly, and if you need something to work perfectly in unison, that's just, it's a hard sell to the general public, especially the general American public, who are so used to being told over years and years that communism and socialism is bad. So I just think they're gonna have a really hard battle to get them to get that way. But hey, you never know. I mean, Mandami's done it, so you never know. There's a blueprint for sure. It just depends on where you're at, right? Like, I believe I've said before, I live in the South. I'm not gonna say where, but I live in the South, and it's gonna be hard to get some of these people around in the South to want to give up more money to get free healthcare when, you know, especially in the South. If you live in the South, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't live in the South and you imagine us as like a bunch of country Hoboken people, not all of us, but there's some out there that are just anti-medical doctor. I drink Mountain Dew every day. Like, it's a stereotype. It's a true stereotype to some extent. But so back on track though. So that whole situation is, it depends on, like, so can you get your message across to the American people in a way that shows, yes, we understand that our proposals are not perfect, but they're progress, right? They're progressive, but they're progressive in a way that will make your life better, not just progressive in the sense and for the sake of being progressive. Like, their whole statement on wanting to tear down, as in like the judicial, the Senate, that's just a terrible starting point. I don't know why you would start there. Terrible starting point. If you're trying to get the most people to be on your side, right? That's just not going to work. But so that being said, we're in the midterm cycle now. Things are starting to pop off. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about that in the future, but that is kind of now entering the stock market. The stock market yesterday had a surge. It didn't have a huge surge, but I know it surged up because most people's portfolios went up and did well. So, I mean, the markets are starting to kind of get a little encouragement. It is probably due to some of the peacetime-ish, right? There's no real major conflicts like we've talked about before. The markets are all basically a betting market off of how does the economy feel and confidence. And right now, since there's no major conflicts going on, gas is not at $4, at least where I'm at, right? It's kind of brought down a little bit. Most people are kind of just settling in. Fun fact, I did see this. This was in my show notes. Manufacturing actually did go up, I think about 2 points, from like 53 to 55 point something, which is huge in the sense of manufacturing is booming again. Like, they're bringing manufacturing back to the States, right? Which for most Americans, citizens who, let's say you can't find a great job, or you're working somewhere, not idealistic for you don't get paid enough. If getting into manufacturing could be the way to go, but the caveat is resources, right? Materials, that stuff's still real expensive right now. Oil, obviously, but that'll come down with time. But so they're in this weird spot where they're putting up factories and manufacturing is coming back, but at the same time, there's lots of other factors that are not quite keeping up and booming yet, as you would say. So just, it's funny to think about that, right? How like one thing which was promised could be being fulfilled in manufacturing coming back to the States, but at the same time, some of the other markets that are needed to kind of really expand that is not quite coming to fruition yet. So just something to think about, right? In sports, I know the MLB trade deadline, I told you before, I'm not huge into MLB, right? I'm not super deep in depth, but I do know that apparently the Dodgers made some huge trades. I know that they're apparently now like everybody's thinking about them to win. Like, if you were betting, you would bet on the Dodgers now. They're going in all in. I know the Yankees made some moves, but I know that they're still a pretty good front runner, even though I think Judge is out for an injury. I did see something about, who was it? It's the Phillies. I think the Phillies are coming in hot. Lots of people are talking about the Phillies as well. Like I said, I'm not super in depth, but I do know in my show notes when I was talking about it, I wrote down a few things. I do know the biggest thing is, one of my questions was, would you rather build a championship team and win, like go all in and just win in a year and kind of fall apart, be like a one-hit wonder? Or would you rather be more focused on having a stable franchise for 5 years plus, right? Kind of back to how we think before, like our 5-year plan kind of thing. You don't know, right? You don't know. Because I mean, I feel like the whole point of the franchise is to win, right? It's to get a championship. So I feel like, in my opinion, I would go for the chip. But that's just me. I wonder what y'all think, for those watching this. But I mean, this is just a thought thing. Some fan bases want to just be good for long term. I want parades. You know what I'm saying? I want parades. As a Miami Heat, boo, you are, right? So like, and I was a fan, basically back in like 08, kind of. I liked, for those who know Jason Williams, White Chocolate, I liked him as a player, and he happened to go to Miami. So when we won a chip, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the best team ever, right? And then kind of just stuck with the team. We were pretty bad for a little bit. Then we got LeBron and Chris Bosh, you know, all that, the Heatles, and then you know, you couldn't tell a Heat fan nothing. We were the best. You were the best franchise you've ever seen. Couldn't tell us anything. We won 2, lost 2, and then obviously LeBron left, and we went to absolute garbage. Now, we were middle of the pack for a while, and then we kind of became bad in those like white side years, as you could say. Bosh had his heart had the blood clotting, which unfortunate. We let Wade go to Chicago, which I have no idea what Pat Riley was doing. But anyway, so like, it just kind of shows, right? But like, my team has been that, man, we're respectable, right? We're respectable. We're not terrible, but we're not going to win anything. That's a terrible place to be as a fan. Take another drink real quick. Ugh, terrible place to be as a fan. So I don't know. I'm curious what y'all think. I personally, like I said, I don't like that. It's not for me. I'm not a fan of the be a stable 8th seed. Like, why? What's the point? Just suck. Just tank or something. Even though tank is now a thing too. All right. Well, now let's move on from sports. Okay. Let's take a quick instant into pop culture. Okay. Let's get into the movies, because I have been seeing stuff everywhere. Now, disclaimer. I have not seen, that man just took off. Did y'all hear that? That man said, anyway, I have not seen any of these movies, so I'm not going to give you any crazy stuff. I think the movie I've genuinely done the most research on, as far as just myself being interested, because I like horror movies, was Obsession. So we'll start there. Crazy movie. I don't even know where to begin with that movie. Let's just talk about the fact that it was, like, it came out. It didn't come out this week. Like, it's not new. It doesn't just pop off. This movie's been around for a while. It's just all of a sudden now kind of really picking up steam. And like I said, I haven't seen it. I've seen enough clips, honestly, where I understand the premise of the whole movie, and I kind of get the plot and everything like that. Like, I don't have to go watch it now if I really wanted, but unless I wanted to see scene by scene. But long story short, this, we'll call this group of friends, right? There's a group of friends. One gentleman named Bear, another gentleman named Ian, and then another girl named Nikki, and then there's another woman named Sarah. And they're a big friend group, working at like a music store together. And, you know, just typical. They kind of all go out to a bar, talking about their hopes and their dreams. And, you know, Nikki, the one girl, wants to go be a writer, wants to go write novels, and, you know, that's her big dream, is to basically move out of the city, move out of where they're at. Bear's kind of just that waster. If you literally thought of, you're gonna play a guy, well put together guy, he's not like this ultra like super masculine, like, you know, he's not like your star boy, let's put it that way. He's not your star boy or primary guy, but he's clearly the guy that's put together enough in the group, as far as the two dudes, that he like understands, he can understand like logical things, and he's the guy that has it all put together, comparative to Bear. Then there's Sarah, who's madly in love with Bear. Funny that. Madly in love with Bear, fully supportive, basically wifey material all from Jump Street. And you all know how movies go, right? So Bear doesn't want her. He wants Nikki, right? But Nikki and Ian are hooking up. He doesn't know this stuff yet, but like they're hooking up. So it's this whole weird dynamic. But basically, long story short, but like I said, without getting into too much detail, Nikki basically needs a ride home. They're chit-chatting. She basically gives him a chance to profess his love. He doesn't do so. He wimps out. But then he buys this thing called a one-wish willow, which is based like a cursed object. I wouldn't say a cursed object. It's an object that grants you a wish, right, as it sounds. But it's like anything in life. You can't just, it doesn't ever work straightforward, right? It's never just like what you perfectly in your head think, oh, I want this to happen in my head, but I don't say it correct. Like it's a whole be careful what you wish for, right? Yeah, be careful what you wish for. So anyway, Bear, after wussing out, basically tries to give her like a present, a birthday present of it, and like I don't think she does it or doesn't want it. I can't remember, like I said, I haven't seen that part, but like long story short, he ends up making a wish that she'll love him more than anything else in the world. And then this, nobody knows what it is, whether a demon, whether a spirit, whether there's this weird hybrid robotic version, anyway, takes over, and like, you know, all of a sudden she's in love with him, like obsessed with him. It's awful, terrible. But and then the movie goes on, you know, it starts off lighthearted and sweet and nice, and oh my gosh, it works out for him. Then it slowly deteriorates into like she doesn't want him to ever leave the house. She doesn't eat and bathe and stuff. Like she's so codependent that she can't do anything without him, that it's like it's bad, right? But it's popping off. And then the whole movie, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but the whole movie ends with it all being resolved. Everybody kind of gets back to normal, but there's consequences for the actions. That's all I'll say. Excuse me. But the biggest thing I want to talk about there, like I said, you'll see the movie, you can see better plot analyses and stuff like that from other YouTubers or whatever. Biggest thing I want to talk about is, what does that mean for cinema, right? You guys know how I am as a person. I'm a systems thinker, right? I like to think critically. But what does that mean for the industry? Because the part that nobody really talks about, I don't think, unless it's in circles that I'm not familiar with, or maybe it's just people do talk about it, but right now we're going to get into it, okay? It was made for $750,000. Now, that's a lot of money to you and me, right? That's a lot of money. Hollywood, that's not a lot of money. That's literally peanuts. Like, I don't even know how much you pay the actors. You got to buy equipment, you got to buy locations, so I'm sure the actors didn't get paid that much. I'm $50K, $40K, which is good money, but not, you know, for an actor, an actress, it's not a lot of money. But anyway, so, yeah, so they've grossed over like $300 million. So what does that show Hollywood, right? Hopefully, because I don't know how everybody feels about Hollywood in this current moment, but I feel like they just think that, oh, if you spend more money, you're gonna make more money. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's about the art, right? They need to get back to making good movies, good film. It's about the audience. It's not about how cool does the explosion look in the background. Nobody cares, right? Let's get back to realism. Let's get back to like what made movies. You know what I mean? Not getting on my soapbox, but think about that. They made over $300 million and only spent $750,000. That's gonna open up so many opportunities. One, for the star, which Indy, the girl that plays Nikki, she's probably the biggest star right now as far as popping off from that. The director / writer, Curry guy, he's definitely going to get big opportunities, because now he's showing that he can make a freaking phenomenal movie on a low budget. But you got to remember, Hollywood is a business, right? So people forget this, and this is part of something that I find fascinating. Why do you think about this, right? Why do you think certain people pop off in Hollywood and certain people don't? It's a business, right? Are you a good ticket? It's the same reason why, if you look at like The Rock, Kevin Hart, those kind of people who like people admire and they're like a huge movie stars now. Do you know why they're big movie stars? It's because they're big tickets, right? They have a social media, which is what really changed the game. They have a social media following that they could pretty much go to that studio. Because we can get into the nitty gritties of how that works too if we want to later, but not right now. And says, hey, I have 500 million whatever fans on Instagram. I can basically guarantee at least 250, half of them go and see this movie at the average ticket cost of $20. That makes your studio X amount of dollars just off of my name alone. So I am worth at least X amount of dollars, right? That's basically, sorry, there's a dude speeding, ripping around like we're not all stuck in traffic. But right, so that's how that works. So now Indy can go and say, I can carry a movie. I'm a smart buy. I'm cheaper. I'm popping off right now. Everybody wants to see me. Everybody wants to know what I'm doing next. Curry has clearly shown, hey, I don't need a huge budget to make a really good movie. I just need you to back me, right? So that's a huge thing for them. So all of those actors and actresses, their lives are about to change. About to change for real, and that's amazing for them. But yeah, we can go over a whole obsession one if we want to in a different episode, but that's just kind of a broad. The cool thing for me is, one, I'm interested in actors and actresses, right? I'm interested in fame like everybody else is, in the sense of like studying what it is, like what makes you famous. And the biggest thing for any of those out here who are watching, maybe see this clip, or maybe this gets clipped somewhere, or maybe in the future somebody's scrolling, whatever. If you want to know how to get famous, if your admiration in life is to become admired, famous, whatever that means to you, okay, this is how you do it. You're not gonna like it, and most likely most of you are not gonna do it, okay, because it's hard work. But it's not hard work in the sense of you got to put your nose to the grindstone. It's not how it works. Let me explain to you how it works real quick, then we'll move on to the next movie. Fame is attention garnered and then monetized, okay? So in theory, let's play this game out. Let's say I do this podcast for the next 10 years. Let's say eventually I grow to where 1,000 of you are watching every time I go online, and I get 10,000 views after, right? Let's just say that's rough numbers, right? I am famous in the sense of I can monetize off of that, right? I have garnered attention enough to where if I now say, hey, Gillette, if you want me to sponsor you, pay me X dollars, I will basically be an ad for that's fame. That is what fame is. It is a monetary value to a company or to people because you garner attention and you've built a trust with an audience, okay? Think about that. That's cool, right? But that's what fame is. So how do you get there? You garner attention. Now, some people do it in ways that I don't personally agree with, but that's just me. That's just me. I'm not here to judge nobody. It's my opinion, okay? And then there's some that do it, I wouldn't even say the right way, because that's going to make it sound a type of way, but we'll say the old-fashioned way, right? You get really good at something and turn that attention into something else. For example, a pro athlete gets really good at that sport, garners attention, and then, becomes a commercial, maybe becomes a film star, this, that, and the other, right? So that's part of it. Or maybe let's say that you get really good at painting or writing novel. You just basically get really good at something, and then you basically, when you get so good at it that it's undeniable, you get the attention, right? Now that's hard. That's hard. Very hard. Today it's a little bit less hard because you can now kind of post stuff and just really just kind of put yourself out there. But on a normal back in the day sense, it's very hard. Hence why the studios had so much power. But now the power is kind of going back to the artist. But now with AI, who knows? We won't even get into that topic today. But with AI, you don't know, because now they don't need actors. In theory, you could pay an AI to create a person exactly how you want them. Or maybe the new thing will be selling your likeness. Will be the new thing. It's like, sell my likeness, and you can create as many commercials as you want out of AI, for X amount of dollars. Or every commercial you make with me using AI, you pay me X, which is still cheaper than actually hiring you for the commercial. Who knows? We won't go into that. Okay? Who knows? Now, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let's talk about it. We're not going to get deep into it because we're at 25 minutes and I'm getting pretty close to the end of my commute, which means this episode will be ending soon. But I haven't seen it. But I've heard some crazy, crazy things. Some crazy, crazy things about this movie. About it being a great movie, amazing movie. I can't wait to see it. The coolest part for me, genuinely, is that I grew up with all three Spider-Men. Okay? I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I don't know if I already have, but I don't know. But I'm not going to tell you how old I am in this moment. I'm not going to age myself. Okay? But I grew up with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Then I grew up with Garfield Spider-Man. And I grew up with Tom Holland Spider-Man. And this is the longest tenure as a Spider-Man ever. That's crazy to think about, right? Like, him and Zendaya are now married. Ain't that crazy? Him and Zendaya are now married. They started as like teenagers. Now they're married. Wild. Okay. But anyway, I'm not going to get into the plot and all that stuff. Like I said, Obsession's the one that I've done the most research on. I'll go see it and listen, and we can do episodes on the new Spider-Man, stuff like that if we want to. That's cool. The last one is the Odyssey. Now, I love the Odyssey, the Greek mythology story. I haven't seen the movie, but the actual story it's based off of, I love that. That is a great story. Great story. If you haven't heard it, look it up on YouTube or something. Great story. If you want to read it, read it. But, that is, yeah, dude, top tier storytelling. Top tier. But yeah, that movie's popping off with Nolan. I mean, they're making so much money off of that movie, and it's like open night. So like, we'll go into those details about that later. But like I said, this is kind of more of just a casual, just kind of off the cuff chit chatting for you and me. But like, dude, cinema in this current moment, cinema is doing amazing things. And I'm just happy that I'm alive to see it. Now, like I said, I'm getting towards the end of my commute, so I'm about to hop off. I appreciate you guys listening or watching it back later, whichever one. I appreciate you, Big Orange Cola. I think he just hopped off, but I appreciate you for popping in. But yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day. Like I said, it'll be cleaned up. We'll have show notes next time. But, I hope you enjoyed this casual conversation. We're on the commute, right? We're just driving to work. We're chit-chatting. We're talking it up. We're having a good time. That is it. Hang on, I got this person in front of me. Don't want to hit him. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of y'all's day. We will talk into it. We will get into it. I will do more research on these movies, and we'll talk next time about it. I'm coming up on my big move, so I think Friday, I know I won't do an episode because I will be moving. I think Monday and Tuesday I won't be either because I'll be moving still. But like I said, we'll chit-chat some more. We'll definitely talk some more. We may do a commute episode on my way back from work just to kind of make up for the losses or for the days I missed. But you guys have a great rest of y'all's day. That's pretty much it. That's all I got, man. That's all I got. One question I'll leave you guys with today is, what's your favorite movie of all time? That'll be what I pick up with. That'll be what I pick up with tomorrow. What's my favorite movie of all time? We can have that discussion. That'll be a fun discussion. You guys have a great rest of y'all's day. It's starting to rain. I'm getting close to work. Y'all have a good one. See y'all later for the next episode.